I don't think we realize what the Golden State Warriors just did. As you all know, the Golden State Warriors faced off against the San Antonio Spurs without Stephen Curry and were still able to win 112 to 102. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 key things that have not only helped the Golden State Warriors beat the Spurs without Stephen Curry, but how these 5 things are also going to help them win an NBA championship at the end of this season. So make sure to like this video, and guys, 92% of you are still not subscribed to the channel, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. The first is that Chris Paul put on a show on playing the point guard position. Now, as you all know, CP3 has been injured for some time now, but he is slowly starting to get a lot more minutes for the Golden State Warriors team, and he definitely showed his value in this latest game against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, in this matchup, he went 19 points, also had 8 assists, and also 9 rebounds. But as you can see from these highlights, he definitely did a lot more out there than just almost getting a triple-double, but he was able to control the pace on the offense and also play great defense at times. He did play that leadership role that was definitely needed, and I think he did a fantastic job when it came to the intangible things that he was able to do out there. Where we really saw him cook up was definitely in that pick and roll situations. He had a lot of great moments with Trayce Jackson-Davis, but also even with Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green at times, and especially even Jonathan Kuminga. But we all know how great Chris Paul can be in pick and roll situations, and he definitely showed in this game just how capable he is still of playing at a very high level and providing for this team. Now, obviously, Stephen Curry is out, and they did a fantastic job without him, but if Steph does come back, we may see CP3 continue to come off the bench, but I do believe he can still do this off the bench with other players that are coming off the bench as well, such as Podziemski, Moody, Gary Payton II, and especially Trayce Jackson-Davis. So the fact that we really saw CP3 be able to actually have that ability to play the way he loves to play, it definitely did show in this matchup, and that's one of the reasons why they were able to beat the San Antonio Spurs by 10. Now, when it came to assist numbers, he definitely was the highest assist leader for this game, and he also did shoot 9 from 19, just below 50% from the field, which I think is great, and also went 1 from 4 from the 3. But he did almost get himself a 20-point triple-double, but the leadership that he was able to display in this game really did show, and that's a big reason why they were able to get this win through the offense running through Chris Paul and the structure that CP3 loves to run. The second is Jonathan Kuminga continues to be an absolute star. Now, as you all know, Jonathan Kuminga has definitely surprised a lot of people as of lately. Jonathan Kuminga earlier on this season actually made a request that he wanted to get a lot more minutes and get more of a starting role, or he would want to get traded, and it seems that the Steve Kerr has actually decided to put him in the starting lineup, and it's actually paid huge dividends to the Golden State Warriors because now Kuminga is playing at such a high level. Now, as you see from these highlights here, he did have himself 22 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, but also had himself 1 steal and 1 block, which I think is great. He also shot 2 from 3 from the 3-point line, and we've actually seen this over the last couple of games for Jonathan Kuminga. He may not be a lights out 3-point shooter, but he is getting a lot more shots from the 3, and he's actually hitting it at a very efficient rate. Whether he only gets 3 attempts or 4 attempts from the 3-point line, he's able to convert very well, which I think really opens up the floor for the Golden State Warriors, and it really does add a more scoring element to Jonathan Kuminga's game, which I think is going to be really huge, especially when it comes post, NBA season time, which is including the playoffs. So I think that'll be a huge asset there. But when we look at Jonathan Kuminga's highlights, you can tell he's just an absolute athletic freak. He's quicker than everyone out there. He's stronger than anyone out there. And I think Kuminga is definitely starting to show telltale signs that he can be a great wingman to Stephen Curry in order to lead this team into an NBA championship. Kuminga has always had the potential to be great, and a lot of Warriors fans definitely see that. But the fact that now he is starting to come out of his shell and get the minutes and also get the ball that he deserves, I do believe Kuminga is now starting to blossom into a very good player. He shot 9 from 18 from the field, so very efficient, which was great to see. And I think that's what makes him so special for this team. It's the fact that he may only get 15, 20 shots per game, but he is converting at a very high clip. And especially if Stephen Curry does come back at a very high form, if Kuminga and Steph Curry continue to work together, run those pick and roll situations, they could definitely be a great pick and roll duo in the future to come. The third is none other than Trayce Jackson-Davis finally getting the minutes that he deserves. Now, as you all know, Trayce Jackson-Davis has been an absolute great player for the Warriors earlier on this season, but when Jonathan Kuminga did ask for that role increase, we actually saw Trayce Jackson-Davis Davis's role actually decreased due to Kuminga starting to get that starting position and a lot more minutes over TJD. Now, when it comes to Jackson Davis, we've actually seen him do a fantastic job in this matchup. They were without Stephen Curry, and he was able to show in 26 minutes of game time what he is capable of doing. Now, he had himself 13 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and also a monster dunk on Victor Wembanyama. Honestly, that was a highlight reel for the future, guys. That was honestly insane. We all know how big Victor Wembanyama is and how hard it is to get a bucket on him. But for Trayce Jackson Davis to absolutely slam it on him, that honestly sends a message not only just to San Antonio Spurs, but to the rest of the world that Trayce Jackson Davis is the real deal. Not only did he have himself almost a great, triple-double, he was missing out on 5 assists, but he was able to get a double-double in this matchup, but he also shot 6 from 7 from the field. So very, very efficient, which is what we love to see, especially from role players like Trayce Jackson Davis. Now, we may not see him get into the starting lineup when Steph Curry gets back. However, I think his 6-man role definitely should be a bigger part than a lot of people didn't expect. When it comes to Trayce Jackson Davis, he did get himself 26 minutes in this matchup, but lately, if we look at his averages over the last 5 before Stephen Curry was actually injured, he was only averaging around 12 to 13 minutes of game time. So he definitely saw an increase of around 13 minutes in this matchup, and I think it honestly paid huge dividends because you finally got to see what Trayce Jackson Davis can do if given the right amount of minutes and the actual green light to be able to score, rebound, and also assist. I think what makes him so special is his ability to be able to play big man but also move like a guard and also be able to defend kind of pretty much 1 through 5 pretty easily. Now, when it comes to Trayce Jackson Davis, he is a very tall player. He does stand at a 6'8", 6'9". He's recorded at 6'9". Some people say he's 6'8", but when it comes to his height and the way he moves for his height, he's pretty much able to guard 1 through 5 pretty easily, and that's what makes him such a defensive juggernaut out there. The fourth is Klay Thompson finally starting to get a lot more consistency. Now, as you all know, Klay Thompson has definitely struggled throughout this season. He's definitely struggled to be able to find who he was before due to the fact that 2 big and major injuries have definitely set him back quite a bit. Now, I wouldn't say Klay Thompson is the same defender that he was before, but thankfully, Golden State Warriors do have Wiggins, they do have Jonathan Kuminga, so that's something that they don't need to worry about. And what they really want to focus on when it comes to Klay Thompson is being able to put up points on the board. And that's what he definitely showed in this matchup against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, he had himself in this matchup 21 points, also 2 rebounds, 2 assists, while also getting 1 steal, which I think was fantastic. But if you also look at his numbers, he went 8 from 21 from the field, which I think is great. But on top of that, from the 3-point line, he actually went 4 from 10. So he shot a great 40%, which I think is fantastic to see. And I think that Klay Thompson is slowly starting to become a bigger and better scorer, especially coming back to his old high consistency days. Now, I remember Klay Thompson. Yes, he was able to drop 25, 30 points in a hurry, but I feel now Klay Thompson's role is definitely to give the team 15, 10, maybe even 20 points, but shoot it at a very efficient clip. Thankfully, Kuminga is there now to take some of that scoring load, but I think Klay Thompson can still be a great spot-up shooter for this team, and he definitely showed that in this most recent matchup against the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are a pretty good defensive team, and especially with Victor Wembanyama in the paint, it definitely causes a lot of issues, but the fact that Klay Thompson was still able to shoot at a very efficient clip definitely shows that he is slowly getting back to his ways and being able to score at a very efficient rate. The fifth is that Andrew Wiggins finally stepped up and is starting to play the way he always played. Now, as you all know, this season has definitely been a little bit rocky for someone like Andrew Wiggins. He was going through a long time out last season, but now he has been back for a while now, and he hasn't really been the same player. But we got to see a little glimpse of what he is capable of doing in this matchup, and I think if given the opportunity, he is able to still perform. It may not be to the same it was before, but thankfully there have been other stars that have come up, such as Kuminga, Trayce Jackson Davis, and also Brandin Podziemski. But I believe he can still put on a show for this Golden State Warriors team, because in this matchup, he was able to get 16 points, 4 rebounds, and also 2 assists. He also shot 6 from 8 from the field, which I thought was great, and also went 2 from 3 from the 3-point line. And these are the types of numbers that the Golden State Warriors and I think Warriors fans want to see like someone from Wiggins get. Now, I don't think the Warriors fans do want Wiggins to be a player that's dropping 30, 35 bombs every single game, but I do believe Wiggins still has a a huge and definitive role in this team, which is to play defense and give 10 to 15 points at a very highly efficient rate. And that's what he did in this matchup, which I think was absolutely beautiful. When it comes to other players, obviously Jonathan Kuminga has become now a big scorer for this team. Chris Paul can also be there. Klay Thompson is also there. You know, the list really does go on. And even if you look at the bench, you got Brandin Podziemski and also Trayce Jackson-Davis. So when it comes to scoring, Wiggins doesn't have to drop 20-25 point games anymore. He can just give you 10 to 15, but his defense is definitely where it is definitely showing. Now, it may not show up in the stat sheet. It may not be a great steal or a great block every single game, but the fact that he is 6'7", 6'8", moves like a guard, has the strength to be able to guard bigs. He is capable of doing a lot of great things on defense, just like other players in this team. And I do believe his defense is definitely going to help this team, not only just now as they try to get back into the NBA playoff picture, which they're currently looking pretty good at, but also when it comes playoff time, like they always mention, defense wins championships.